What's up, Eagle fans? Welcome back to the Angry Birds Fans Hangout podcast. I'm your host, Hydro, and today we bring you another great episode on our Philadelphia Eagles. I've been getting a lot of questions or comments in regards to who do I think the MVP is, and have been seeing other mentions about Coach of the Year and maybe even Comeback Player of the Year. So I wanted to discuss those topics here on this episode, and also discuss any the injuries we had during the Giants game, and give you some updates on those injuries. So before we begin that, just want to let everybody know that you can reach me on Twitter at UMCIE. You can send me messages there. Now I will respond to you if you want to join the podcast or even have a comment mentioned on the podcast. Just let me know. Send me a message there. And I do tweet on there about our Philadelphia Eagles. So you can respond back to my tweets on there, and I will respond back to you. We are also on other social media platforms such as Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube at Angry Bird Fans Hangout. So look for us there. You can also message us on those platforms, and I will get back to you. And like I said, if you want to be on the podcast, you can send me messages there. And a lot of times I will post videos or episodes on YouTube for your listening pleasure. So let's get right into it. So with the injuries, I'll start off with that. We had three key injuries during the Giants game. The first one I want to mention is Lane Johnson. He left the game early in the fourth quarter. He had what appeared to be an abdominal strain, according to him. And according to Lane Johnson, he said he could have went back in the game and played if he wanted to, but because of how the game was going, pretty much we were destroying the Giants, is what he was saying. He decided not to go into the game and just took precautionary measures to ensure that he didn't further cause injury to his abdominal area. And as of Tuesday, he also mentioned that it's not an issue, or the Eagles mentioned that his injury is not a big issue, it's day to day. So it looks like he will be playing against the Chicago Bears this coming Sunday, which is a good thing because I think we could beat the Chicago Bears without Lane Johnson playing. So I think if he's still feeling injured or not 100%, I think we can afford to sit him during this game and kind of let him recover so that we'll have him during the Dallas Cowboys game. But knowing Lane Johnson, he's probably going to want to play, and he is the best offensive lineman on the team. So without him, this offense would look a little bit different. I'm not going to say they would struggle mightily, but they would not, be the same offense without him out there, because he hasn't allowed any sacks since like 2020 or something like that. And that's a lot, you know, for, you know, for, an offensive lineman to go that long without giving up a sack. So he is a detrimental part of the offensive line. I mean, he's one of the, other than, but him and Kelsey are probably they're the captains and probably the more seasoned veterans on the offensive line. So they bring a lot of experience. But I think against a team like Chicago, I mean, he wouldn't be missed. Now against the Dallas Cowboys, he would be missed. So I would rather have him healthy for the Cowboys game instead of risking him getting further injured in this Chicago game. Now, the other two injuries were Aaron Sipoff, our punter, and Reed Blankenship, our backup safety. Reed Blankenship is filling in for CJ while he was out. And during the game, it appeared that he had a serious knee injury, which kind of concerned me during the game. It almost appeared as if it could have been one of those season type ending injuries, like a ACL tear or something with his MCL. But according to the Eagles, he only has a sprained knee, so he will miss some time. Um, I don't think he'll be back for the Dallas Cowboys game. I seriously doubt it. Even though it's not a ACL tear, but a sprain, especially a sprained ankle or sprained knee, is still a serious injury because those are kind of like lingering, so they take time to heal. So he'll definitely be missed out there, and we're already kind of thin at safety. I mentioned that before in Pat in the preseason podcast when we were trying to figure out the roster for the team, and I mentioned that my biggest concern on the defense were our backups for corner and for safety. We were especially at safety, we were really thin. I mean, we have Kayvon Wallace, but when he's in there, I mean, he's on and off. Um, he's not CJ. He's not, he's not an impact player. I'm not going to say he's a bad player, but he's not that impact player that you would want to fill in and start in a game. So uh, I'll get into the replacements here in a few. So Aaron Sipoff is our punter, and of course he got injured during that punt that was blocked, and he picked it up and tried to pick up the first down, which I give him mad credit for doing that because a lot of punters would not do that. And I'm not a punter person. I don't keep my eye on a punter or keep track of punters. I mean, I'm not saying they're not important, but to me, they're not as important as field goal kickers because field goal kickers do win games. So I do keep track of who we have kicking our field goals, but punters do impact the field position in games. So to me, that's where their importance lies. And as you can see in last year's playoff game, Aaron Sipoff didn't do very well in giving us good field position in that game. He shanked a few punts in that game that gave the Tampa Bay Buccaneers great field position against our defense, who already didn't, they needed to pin the Buccaneers deep into their territory and not give them an advantage against our defense. But um, he suffered a leg injury, so he's out for the rest of the season. The Eagles mentioned that he was out; he would not be returning. So that put us in a need for a punter because we didn't have a backup punter on our roster. So Howie Roseman being Howie Roseman, man, I tell you what, that guy, he has filled the needs of this team not only during the draft, not only picking up free agents during the offseason. Um, he also picked up in-season players that have already made huge impacts on our team. But now he's made other moves. I mean, they're not great moves, but they are moves that really fulfill the needs of the team at this point in time in the season. So he went out and picked up or acquired Brett Kern, who is a Pro Bowl punter. He hasn't played this season, but he did play last season. He's a I think he's a 12 or 13-year veteran, and he's a I guess he's a good punter. I mean, I looked at some of his stats, and I'm not a stat person. I don't like doing stats unless I really have to. But looking at stats, they're pretty good. Even last year, he did really good as a punter for the Titans. So I don't like I see him contributing right away. I mean, I don't know what kind of shape he's in for punting the ball, but I'm pretty sure. I mean, he's not even a year removed from playing, so I'm pretty sure he's still in some kind of shape to kick a ball. I mean, he's not going to be out there hitting people and catching passes and running down the field. So I don't think it'll take him any time to get back into a rhythm. I mean, he's not going to be out there. I mean, I would be surprised if he did, uh, kicking punts and pinning like the team back on their own inside their own 10-yard line or inside their five. Hey, that's a big bonus for us if he does do that. Um, and then the other player that we acquired is our former safety, Anthony Harris. Um, he's back, and it's I don't. I mean, I wasn't a big Anthony Harris fan. I mean, he played well. I mean, he wasn't a bad player. He played well. He wasn't. I mean, he wasn't a player that caused us games. I mean, he's not CJ and at this point, I don't think he's even Reed Blankenship, but he he will fill that role. I think he will fulfill that need and fill that role that we will have missing, you know, in that position with CJ and Reed Blankenship being injured. And hopefully we get CJ back soon. I don't think he'll be back for the Cowboys game, which is kind of concerning to me, but he might be back for, I'm not going to say revenge game against his former team, the Saints, but he'll be back to play his former team, the Saints. So hopefully Anthony Harris, he can come in. He's familiar with the defensive schemes that Jonathan Gannon likes to run. I mean, he probably needs to get caught up on what they're doing now because we do have different players. So we are kind of attacking the offense, the opposing offense a little bit differently now than we were last year. But I think with him having Epps back there and then especially having um, a big play Slay and Bradbury, we didn't have Bradbury last year, so that might help him be a better safety. And he's a decent tackler. Um, I might say he might be a little bit better at tackling than CJ, but he's not a better tackler than Reed Blankenship for sure. So we just have to see. I mean, he's going to be on the practice squad, but they might bring him up for this game, and I don't know. We have to wait and see on Friday to see, who they're going to start, either him or Kayvon Wallace. If I had to choose, I would start Kayvon Wallace. I mean, he's come in, he's been playing in this system so far this season, and I mean, he hasn't done bad. I mean, from what I've seen, so I would start Kayvon Wallace. That's just my opinion, and just have Anthony Harris dressed just in case something happens to either Kayvon Wallace or Marcus Epps, and hopefully nothing will happen this game because that would be bad for us if one of those guys get injured. Um, so those are pretty much the updates on the injuries that we've had in the Giants game. Um, Jordan Davis been back, so he's a good addition to have on that defensive line, and we're just waiting for CJ to get back, man, on this defense to to fill in that gap in that secondary because we're definitely gonna need him in the postseason. So we're gonna move forward to the let's talk about the MVP race. Um, I want to address that because a lot of people have been having sending me comments or messages on the MVP asking me who do I think is an MVP right now in the NFL. As of right now, and this is my opinion, I think the MVP race is between three to maybe four quarterbacks. One being Jalen Hurts, the other Patrick Mahomes. I will put Burrow in that in the MVP race right now, and maybe even still Josh Allen. But Josh Allen, I mean, he's not playing as well as he was during since the first half of the season. So he's kind of playing himself out of the MVP race. So the top three, I'll go one, Jalen Hurts for right now, two, Patrick Mahomes, and then three, Burrow. And the reason why I say Jalen Hurts, and I'm not saying this because I'm an Eagles fan, you know, I'm really trying to be biased here. If you would ask me like maybe like 4 games ago who was an MVP, I would probably would have had Patrick Mahomes as one and then Jalen Hurts right behind him. But as of lately, Patrick Mahomes hasn't been playing as well as he's been playing the first half of the season. He's and the reason why I would say Jalen Hurts will beat him out right now is because Jalen Hurts hasn't done anything to cause the Philadelphia Eagles to lose the game. Like the only game we lost against the Commanders really was not because of Jalen Hurts. It wasn't like Jalen Hurts threw an interception in the fourth quarter trying to come back, and the Commanders were able to, milk out the clock or something, to that effect. The Commanders' loss was a team loss. It was basically a team loss, so it wasn't predicated on, on the shoulder of Jalen Hurts. It was basically multiple, there were multiple mistakes in that game that caused us to lose that game. But Patrick Mahomes has caused his team a couple wins this season. He's thrown a few interceptions, trying to do it like a game winning drives. He's done throwing interceptions that kind of sealed the game. He has made some decisions that has caused his team the games. And I can't say it's just him alone. Like I said, it's a team effort. So, but as when you view the individual player playing at their position, I have to say that Patrick Mahomes has caused his team a couple of wins. Like if he didn't throw some of them interceptions and he was able to drive the ball down and score, have a game winning drive, then he would be in that conversation as the lead uh, player for the MVP this season. But as of right now, it's Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts has been playing mistake-free football all year. I mean, to me, like stats don't make you an MVP because you can have a quarterback throw for 5,000 yards and they might not even make the playoffs, or they might not even win their division and be a top seed. I mean, Jalen Hurts, his stats aren't like jumping off the paper at you, but they're like his stats are enough to where he's leading his team to victories by playing mistake-free football. He's not throwing interceptions at the wrong time. He's not fumbling the ball at the wrong time. He's not making those mistakes. So who do you think should be the MVP? Tell me, I want to hear your opinions on that. Tell me who you think should be the MVP of the NFL this season. Now to the next thing is, do the Philadelphia Eagles have the coach of the year? So is Nick Sirianni Should Nick Sirianni be considered for Coach of the Year? If I had to look across the NFL at coaches, I would probably say he's right there at the top. Um, and if you took, I think he should have got NFL Coach of the Year last year, before what being a new coach and then having a rough start to the season, but then finishing strong and making the playoffs. I think he should have got it last year because he got a lot of criticism last year for just some small things, and for him to still be able to lead the team to the playoffs is he should have got the award last year. But this year, I think, I mean, because you can have all the talent on a team, but if you don't have that the coaching and that mentorship, somebody to lead these guys, because these guys are all professionals. It's not easy having all these egos in one room and trying to keep them together and trying to keep them to work as one unit. That is a difficult job. You know, and he's been doing a great job at it. And plus, I mean, he has the best team in the NFL right now with the best record. I would say just depends on how the rest of the season plays out. So if we win the rest of our games and just end the season with one loss, he should be coach of the year. So my question to you is, who do you think? Do you think Nick Sirianni should be coach of the year? Because if you look at other teams like Coach Dabo, like he was in the argument to being coach of the year, but now look at them. I think they lost, like they only won one out of their last, what, 6 games or 7 games. Like, I mean, how can he be coach of the year when his team is not performing? So, it, you know, in my opinion, Nick Sirianni is it. So just tell me, what is your opinion? Do you think Nick Sirianni should be coach of the year? Now, comeback player of the year. I think we have the comeback player of the year. I looked across, I'm trying to think like who could be comeback player of the year. And the only other player that I think could be that would be Saquon Barkley. But now, during that, just like I said, coaching, losing 1 out of 7 games, and the way he's been playing these past 7 games, like he's no better than Miles Sanders right now. Like if he was doing better than Miles Sanders or a lot of these other running backs, then I would have him up there as the lead player for comeback player of the year. But my pick right now is Brandon Graham, and I might be, I'm an Eagles fan, so I think we have the comeback player of the year, and that's Brandon Graham, man. ACL tear, 13 years in the NFL. He's in his 30s. When you suffer that kind of injury like this late in your career, usually a lot of guys, that's it. Their career is done. It's over. But this man, he persevered, worked hard, kept himself in shape, came out this season with on a mission, and his role has diminished. And I think that kind of has helped him out because now he's more of a role player than a starter, and he has been playing excellent football. Just like in this Giants game, he got 3 sacks. Man, that guy he's not supposed to get 3 sacks in one game. Not at not the rate he's playing. Like he played more snaps in this game than he usually does, but I'm just saying he shouldn't have 3 sacks. In this game, he didn't play the whole game. He's limited in playing snaps. Because he's a role player. He's coming in and on the rotation. So, and I think right now he's at 8.5, and he's going to get double-digit sacks. He's for the first time in his career, he's going to get it. I mean, I have confidence that he will have double-digit sacks by the end of this year. I mean, we have 4 games left, and he's gonna get double digits, and he's got my vote for comeback player of the year because nobody expected him to come back. This is probably his last year as an Eagle, which I hope it isn't. I hope the Eagles still keep him on because they see how he's playing this year. I hope they bring him back in the same role. I mean, he might not make as much money as he wants to make, but I think he wants to retire as an Eagle. I think he wants to have that that recognition of being the longest reigning Eagle on the Philadelphia Eagles football team. I think he wants to be known at just playing for the Eagles. And that's what I want him to be known as. I don't want him to go play just like Brian Dawkins. I did not want to see Brian Dawkins play in another uniform, but fortunately he did. But he's, because he's always the Eagles in my heart. And that's kind of like how I feel about Brandon Graham. Like he will always be an Eagle, you know, in my eyes, like even if he went to play for somebody else. But I hope that doesn't happen. I hope they find a way to bring him back as a, just keep him as a backup. I mean, you see what he's doing now, and it's paying dividends. So, like I said, we got 4 remaining games, and plus the postseason. We'll see how he performs in his role if he keeps doing what he's doing, especially if he reaches double-digit sacks. Like, we need to bring that man back. But he has my vote for comeback player of the year, and in the NFL, not just for the Eagles, but in the NFL. And plus, I mean, he's the Walter Payton Man of the Year for the Eagles. He's a candidate right now. He's doing great things off the field. So not only is he a great player, he's a great person off the field, and so he represents this Philadelphia Eagles organization, as he should, as every player should. So he's a standout, and I just want to congratulate Brandon Graham on also being nominated for the Walter Payton Man of the Year award. So, congratulations, BG. So, who do you think should be comeback player of the year? Let me know about that too. So, just hit me up, like I said, on Twitter at UMCIE. Send me messages on Facebook, Instagram. Check out our YouTube page. All of those social media sites. You can reach us at Angry Birds Fans Hangout, and let's get together and talk about some Eagles. I'm waiting for some of y'all. I know some people don't like coming on and talking, Eagles. They rather send messages and stuff like that. So if you're that type of person, I understand. Just send me the message or send me a comment, and I'll get back with you. I'll mention you on my podcast, and it's all in fun. I'm here for you Eagles fans, and so that we can build this community and talk about our birds. So my next episode uh, will be out on Friday. I'll be discussing a preview of the Eagles versus the Bears. That probably won't be a long episode, honestly, but never underestimate your opponent, right? So until next time, go Birds.